spiritual health as well, because that's what's going to take you to the next frequency. You got to be able to believe in yourself, believe in purpose as well. We are here for a reason, whether you believe that or not. You're not here just to waste space. And so I think it's very important to become spiritually connected to what that purpose is for you. And I think Oprah's Super Soul Conversations gives people an idea of what their purpose is. What's up, everybody? It is Monday. We're back to the beginning of the work week. Tonight I was going to have a guest. She goes by Freddie Old School. She's an artist and a musician, and she also has her own wellness business that she's creating and launching. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to make it today. I've reached out to her, and so maybe we can get her rescheduled in the future, but I still wanted to come on here and give you guys 30 minutes of inspiring conversation. Tonight, what I'm going to do is go over the black bags model. It was a model that I built and created solely for the Bliss Talk, to give me an outline of what exactly I was trying to say and speak to the people. So black bags is actually an acronym, and it is building, learning, aspiring, collaborating, and sharing keys. The first part, hello, Viking. I was talking about how I'm going to go over the black bags model with you all tonight. And so the first piece of that acronym is B for building. And when we're talking about getting building, we want to talk about getting organized, developing a plan, and taking actionable steps. And I believe that we often look at our challenges and we become overwhelmed by them, and we are unsure how to detangle what's going on. And so Martin Luther King has this quote. It says, "You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step." So what you initially want to do when you start or think you want to start building is take the first step. And what does that first step look like? And if you don't know what that first step looks like, reach out to different mentors or people within the community that might be trying to do the same thing as you. I think that's a great place to start. So that was that piece of that acronym. Learning is the second piece. We went from B to L, and L is for learning. When we talk about learning, we talk about listening to different podcasts, reading different books, looking at different interviews, seminars. It could even be school if you're going to school. Right now, I am in school for business, and I can tell you that I've learned a lot of stuff. Not even just about business acumen, but also about how to communicate effectively. And I've also learned how to be a good leader. There's leadership classes when you're in school that teach you, a little bit about previous leaders or our ancestors, and trying to develop your own characteristics or fit some of your own characteristics into that leadership role. We often hear people, connecting leadership to maybe a position, maybe a manager, maybe someone in a high corporate position. And those are actually positions. Those might not necessarily mean or indicate that they are leaders. A leader is someone that the people trust and that they know they can follow. You're not going to follow just anybody, down that hill, because you want to be able to trust that that person knows what to expect when they get down there. And I hope that makes sense to you all. So learning, podcasts, books, interviews, seminars, school, anything that you can get your hands on in order to dig a little bit deeper into the frequency that you're trying to get on. What's up? She is golden. Hello, I'm going over the Black Bags acronym tonight. I do not have a guest tonight. I couldn't get in touch with her, but we just went over the building and learning portion of the Black Bags acronym. Right now, I'm talking about some learning materials that I found that was interesting and helped me out. I actually started to read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, the book on rental property investing by Brandon Turner. I'm really trying to get into my investment bag. You know, black bags is wealth comes from somewhere, and a lot of people don't know that houses and things of that nature are shells for money. They can be appreciated. They can appreciate in value over time. They can also, if you're using it as a rental property, you can collect off of that, and that's called a cash flow. So I've been really digging into some books and reading material about that. Let's see, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad for me was just basically going over the mindset of it all. That book is talking about one dad's mindset from the next. One dad believed in creating wealth, and one dad actually believed you had to, get a job. It was two distinct cultures or two distinct mindsets of thinking about how to create wealth or how to provide for yourself. And I thought that was a great read. Oprah's Super Soul Conversations. This one. Now, if you're trying to be a leader, I think you should really invest in your spiritual health as well, because that's what's going to take you to the next frequency. You got to be able to believe in yourself, believe in purpose as well. We are here for a reason, whether you believe that or not. You're not here just to waste space. And so I think it's very important to become spiritually connected to what that purpose is for you. And I think Oprah's Super Soul Conversations gives people an idea of what their purpose might be by hearing other people talk about their purpose and different discoveries that they made on their journey. Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is a podcast, and they also talk about rental properties, and they talk about how there was one conversation on there where a young lady said that she started out by buying properties in Detroit for very low. And what happened was she bought 10 properties, just, buying one, refinancing, buying the next one, refinancing that one, up until she got to 10 properties. All 10 properties equaling maybe a value of maybe a little less than $100,000, but around that area. So when you get 10 properties for $100,000, that's $1 million. So it was great to hear her experience, because she started from the bottom. Now we here, baby. So if you listen to Bigger Pockets, you're definitely going to get inspired by that. Moving on to the next piece of the acronym for Black Bass is aspiring. Vision board. What's your mindset looking like? What do you do when there's naysayers? Because that's going to change your frequency of thinking if you dwell on what naysayers say. Your environment. If things are not working out for you, you might want to change your environment. How do we manage anxiety? So let's pick apart the vision board part. So I have a vision board. I create a vision board almost every year, or I try to. And what happens is, some people think of it as a mystical force, but I think of it as like a direct, contact with what you want to make happen. Because when you write it down, it's almost like a reminder to you, or a reminder of your purpose. So if you're thinking about or seeing something every day on this board, then you're just like, that's right, I gotta see how I'm gonna get that, And some people think of it as a mystical force, but who knows what that is, what it is about it. And I can testify that last year when I made my vision board, I put on there that I wanted to have at least one property in my name. I said I wanted to have a credit score at 740. There were a few things that I put on there, and one by one, they just started materializing. I was approved for my property. My credit score wasn't quite at 740 yet when I got approved for my property, but a little bit down the line further, my credit score was like sitting at 732. And then a little bit later on, it got at 741 exactly. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. Like, I literally just wrote down on my vision board that I wanted to have a 740 credit score, and it materialized. Mind you, my credit score was a hot freaking mess before then. So I'm just like, whoa, that's crazy. And I also put on my vision board that I wanted to have all A's. I had all A's that year as well. So think about possibly creating a vision board for yourself. Some people say that they don't like to write stuff down unless it's like a to-do list. I spoke with Josephus in one of my Bliss Talks, and he operates by doing, he says. He said, I don't write it down, I just do it, you know? And so that might work for you, but if you're someone that's like visual like me, that board really came in handy. Your mindset. That is important. Your mindset. I want you guys, anyone that's still in here with me right now, to really think about, what does your mindset look like right now? Are you focused? And if you're not focused, what are you focused on? Are you thinking about how to better prepare for your next steps or your first step? Are you thinking about what you want to do and how you're going to do it? These are some of the things that you want to think about if you want to start building, you know, because people, I was listening to something yesterday, and it was talking about time management and how people will try to take some of that time that you have allotted for what you want to do and misuse it, you know. And so if you are not on the mindset of getting something done that you really want to get done, then people can really come in there and steal that time, like right from underneath your nose, because you weren't focused, you know. So I believe that it really does take a focused mindset in order to get some of these things achieved. Hey, 3-point Megan, what's up, guys? So we just talked about vision board, we talked about the mindset, and now let's get to the naysayers. Oh my gosh, on my journey, like when I started doing music, like super heavy, I was doing really well. I had, you know, a pretty decent following, but there were people who said, you know, like at one of my shows, they were like, you know, I asked him if he was ready to go. My keyboardist, I had planned this big show, and I just knew it was going to be my dream show. And so when I asked him if he was ready to go, are you excited? He looked at me and he said, baby girl, this is just another show for me. And so that hurt. That really hurt my heart, because I really wanted this show to go well. I really worked hard on it. But I decided to just keep going, even though, you know, it was just like a naysayer mentality that energy that he was giving to me, if that makes sense. And so what I encourage people to do when you hear those naysayers, because you will, you can't avoid it, they're all around us, I would advise you to keep going. Don't let their energy project onto you and your dreams and your goals. Your environment, an example that I have for your environment. So when I grew up in a certain, you know, school district, and it was pretty diverse. I can't lie to you, but I always felt super awkward in the schools that I went to. I felt like I was so different. You know, I felt like nobody got me. I didn't feel much of a connection with anyone in those schools. And I made a decision, because, you know, I had saw that show Taina. I was like, you know, it would be dope if I can get into a performing arts school. And so I auditioned for Weaver Academy, and a week later I got a call that said that I got in. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, this is going to be so dope. It's going to be just like Taina, blah, blah, blah. Little did I know I was going to notice a huge culture shock going from my public school into a performing arts school where everyone was just as weird as I was just as creative as I was. We had everything to talk about because we were on the same frequency. I didn't know how much that was going to impact my mood, my, just overall my personality. I didn't know that moving from this environment to this new environment was going to make that huge of an impact and difference. And so I also heard a pastor talking about environment too later on in life. And when he spoke about environment and changing that environment, it made so much sense to me. It clicked right then. I was like, you know what? That's the reason why I never felt as comfortable in a public school as I do in this performing arts school, because I was in the wrong environment the whole time. So I encourage people, if you're feeling that way, when you're feeling like the energy is off, try to explore what the next environment looks like. I think that's a key. How do we manage anxiety? Now, that is something that I grew up with, just so much anxiety, and I think that anxiety comes from first experiences and never feeling like I'm prepared for it. So what I like to do now in order to manage anxiety is do my research before I pop up somewhere. Make sure that I'm as prepared as I can be if I'm going to enter into a different environment or zone. Because when you're not prepared, that's when you get that anxiousness, and you feel like, man, I really wish I would have prepared for this better. So that's one of the keys that I've been using growing up. But I also spoke with LB the Poet in one of our talks. He talked about when you do feel anxious, what you can do is use that energy, use that anxiousness, and put that into whatever you're doing, Use those butterflies as energy towards what you're doing. Change the mindset of it. Don't look at it as something that's going to make you nervous. Look at it as an opportunity to shed light on what you need to shed light on. A lot of times I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and a lot of times we go into these things thinking that it needs to be perfect. Like, if I'm going to perform right now, it needs to be absolutely perfect. If I'm going to speak to you right now, it needs to be absolutely perfect. And the truth is, it may not be perfect. I might mess up. I might mess up on a word or a thought. But as long as I am aware of that, it's not going to always be perfect. I can come from a place of transparency when I speak to people. My objective is to talk about some of the experiences that I went through. It's not to be perfect. My objective is not to be perfect, but to simply talk to you all about some of the experiences that I thought gave me some of my most valuable lessons today. So that was that. Aspiring, we talked about vision board, we talked about our mindset, we talked about the naysayers, the environment, and how do we manage anxiety. Collaboration. Collaboration. If you want to be successful, you're going to have to collaborate. You can't hog it all to yourself. You're going to need help. You're going to need your aces in the holes. You're going to need your eggs in different baskets. So you're going to need people who might be better at one aspect of the business acumen than you are. So collaboration is about gathering new knowledge, network expansion. It's not always about what you know, but who you know, and innovation. When you work with a group of people that are well-rounded in different areas, but also experts, or very, they do well in that one area, that's when you get innovation. So many times I'm sitting in a room and I might not have one creative thought in my brain, but then I throw it off and allow the other people on my team to give their input, and then they might say something, and then that sparks something else over here. Somebody's like, oh, okay, and then we should do this. So in collaboration breeds innovation, that new thing, that next thing that's coming up. Network expansion. Man, listen, if you got, say you have a song and you got 4 people on that song, all of their followers are going to hear your voice as well. So now you have the following of 4 different artists listening to your voice. Now you just expanded your network. Does that make sense? It's powerful. Collaboration is powerful. We need each other. And also in art, we're brothers and sisters in this thing. So think about collaboration as needing that person to spread your message. So collaboration, if you guys have any questions while I'm going through all these things, please speak up. I'm on my last letter of the acronym, Black Bags. So we talked about building, learning, inspiring, collaborating. Now I want to talk about some major keys that I've learned. What's up, Raleigh? Yes, so we're talking about major keys. Some of the major keys that have helped me on this journey. One key was to let go. You're going to have to sacrifice sometimes. Keep going. Grapple and grit, consistency, work ethic, gratitude. Let's talk about let go for a second. There is something mystical about letting go. And I didn't realize this until I was faced with a very, very important decision. I was out of work and I was living with a roommate, and I had a pet. Roommate didn't really like the pet like that. All up in the area. And, I can understand that. But I had to decide what I was going to do, because if I move out, then I have to move in my parents, and they wasn't having no pet. They wasn't having a pet at their home. And so I'm applying for jobs. I'm really stressed out, and I have this pet that I adore. His name is Tafari, by the way. And I had to make plans, and I knew that this new transition was probably going to involve me having to give my pet away to a shelter. And so I had to wake up and make that decision at some point, and I did. And I was like, I don't even know if I can go in here right now. I don't know if I can do this. But I got to that point where I let go and ended up giving my baby away. I cried, I shed tears. When you let go, it's going to be some tears involved with that letting go. And a few hours later, after I let go, I got a call. Hi, Miss Walton. We saw that you put in an application for this position. They want to interview you tomorrow. And I was like, what? Like, all of this trauma that I just went through with having to make this crazy decision, I let go. And then all of a sudden, I got a call that changed my life. 4 years working at this job. So I want us to think about, what is something that we're holding on to right now that maybe we could let go? Maybe we should be letting go of, because there's something bigger and better behind that next door. Keep going. We already talked about keep going. When the naysayers say nay, we say, nah, I'm good, and we keep going. Grapple and grit. A lot of times we're afraid to talk. We're afraid to speak truth. We're afraid to say what's really on our mind, especially in the work environment. What you have to understand is, if you know that what you're doing is the right thing, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that's called grappling. Say, hey, I understand that you got this going on, but I really want you to view this perspective real quick. Don't just let it fly. Like, say something, and you'll be surprised, like with you grappling and using your grit, how far that will get you on to the next frequency. Work ethic. Work ethic is important. I talked to Miss Momo Love, and she talked about, exiting that thought phase and entering your do phase. Very, very, very important. We can think all day. This is exactly what she said. We can think all day, but when are we going to do? So you got to put that work in. Gratitude. I remember when I walked into that job that I told you guys that I had they told me I had an interview. And I remember being there for weeks at a time. I thought, it was a contract job, so I was like, I thought I was going to be out of here a minute ago. And every time I stepped into that place, I was overwhelmed by gratitude, because I could have been slaving at the call center, but I'm here. And I can only think about how I had to make some sacrifices and let go of some things in order to get there. So whenever you are in that state of gratitude, it's you accepting the height that you're on, and then also allowing yourself to be open for the next height. Think about that. Whenever you are in the state of gratitude, it's you accepting the height that you're on and allowing yourself to be open to the next height. Really think about that. Well, that ends my conversation today with my daggone self. Maybe that's the key right there. If somebody doesn't show up, or if plans don't work out, sometimes you got to get in there and do it your daggone self. This has been Bliss Talk tonight. This video will be posted in the IGTV. Make sure y'all go subscribe on YouTube to Bliss Talk. And make sure you hit that follow button. cbliss_pics. If you got any questions about tonight's Bliss Talk, you can definitely reach out to me. I am very approachable and reachable. Thanks, guys. Bye.